What's up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. Why? As always, brought to you by Bet Parks. Happy 4th of July. Enjoy the day. It's going to be hot out. Hot dogs, burgers, fireworks. Be careful with the fireworks. I know a lot of people like to joke around about it, but people, lose digits, man. I've never encountered any firework problems before, but we were at a party last year and they had this big fireworks thing, and it was like loaded on some type of I don't even know what, but like it was one of the boxes where it shoots up, and they had it up on something. And when it started shooting off the fireworks, it like knocked itself over and it started firing the fireworks into the crowd of people that were watching. It was insane. So be careful out there with the fireworks. Let's talk a little NFL. It's been a while, right? You know what happens once the final OTAs are wrapped up, right before training camp starts, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks. You get a dead period during the NFL. I was just looking at this earlier this week. The over-unders across the NFL here. Like, what do we expect heading in to this season? And a lot of times you can kind of get a good indicator of certainly what the odds makers think about teams based on where the over under is situated for a particular team. Just yesterday I was talking to I was in my group chat of my fantasy football league, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they signed Aaron Rodgers, and this guy's a Steeler fan. He's a Yinzer. So every year it's defense wins championships, and they're going to win this year. And now they get Aaron Rodgers, so they're really going to win. And it's like, okay, well, Aaron Rodgers is 41, but like at least they have a quarterback that has done some winning. Steelers aren't winning the Super Bowl, but still their over-under is low, and it makes you wonder what exactly it's going to be this year. But let's start off at the top. Tyler Zulli is with me here this morning. Tyler, happy 4th of July, buddy. How are you?
Happy 4th to you as well. Doing well. It is I am ready to do a little NFL talk. I know we still got a lot of baseball, a lot of summer left, but the over-unders come out and you get a little excited. You start to think about what your team can be. You start to think about, how do I take Vegas's money? How does Vegas take my money? So I love this type of conversation.
All right, over-unders. These are all teams are over-under 11.5. The Eagles are involved in this conversation. Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens. Pretty much the best teams. I would put the Lions in there, but they're a notch below, as we'll mention in a second. Over-unders. Do you like any of these teams to go under the posted win total of 11.5, Tyler?
I do. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go under the 11.5 win total. They have not addressed their offensive line at all. And in fact, traded Joe Thuney this offseason to the Bears, who, like, this is an offensive line that got, and now granted, the Eagles were on a rip, right? Like you might not have gotten the 85 Bears to stop them, but they got obliterated in the Super Bowl and did nothing. I mean, they drafted a tackle, right? But like, is he going to step in and be the guy right away? I don't know. I think that they may have some offensive problems this year. Mahomes is always going to keep you in games. Like, they're not going to be bad, don't get me wrong, but I think this could be a 10-7 Chiefs team, even an 11-6 Chiefs team. I'm going to take the under on the Chiefs 11.5 this year.
AFC West is better. Tough division. Broncos are legit. Chargers are legit. Pete Carroll's now in Vegas, so they're not just going to be a pushover. I agree with you. And you wonder, like, did we hit the point? Was this the point where the Chiefs now are going to need to regroup a little bit? Because I agree with you. I think obviously the Chiefs are going to be there with Mahomes and Andy Reid, whatever. But I don't see them at the top of the AFC anymore. The Ravens are in a tough division, man. Like, you could certainly see them going 12 or 13 wins. And I think the Bills go over 11.5. All right, the Lions and the Niners are both 10.5. Mildly surprised at the Niners at over under 10.5. Lions and Niners, what do you think?
Lions, I think, is still a smash over. That offense is too good. They're going to get healthy. Now, granted, what does Aiden Hutchinson do when he comes back? They were talking about him struggling to run and struggling to put some pressure on that leg and things like that. What does he become when he gets back? They were decimated by injuries last year. I can't imagine a scenario where they have another year where they get crushed by injuries the way that they did. They're too talented of a team. Like, 11-6 is very, very doable for that Lions team. The over feels like a good play there.
The 9.5 over under, there are 4 NFC teams, and they all made the playoffs last year with the 9.5 number. Commanders, Buccaneers, Rams, and Packers. Of the 4, if you look year to year in the NFL, and I haven't updated it in the last year or so, but for the most part, if you have how many playoff teams make it in each conference now?
7.
Is it 8, 7? All right. So generally, it's a little bit less than 50% of the teams that make the playoffs one year don't make the playoffs the next season. So going by that, Rams, Bucks, Commanders, Packers, who's the most likely to go under 9.5 wins of that group?
I think it might be the Commanders. Even though I love Jaden Daniels, he's a legit weapon. I think they maybe overperformed a little bit last year. I'm not sure that they're going to get back to the NFC title game or anything like that. They're going to be a good team. And I think that if they win 10, 11 games, like I wouldn't be stunned. But I think with the uptick in difficulty in the schedule and the fact that their defense started to get a little bit exposed towards the back end of the season, I think it may be the Commanders because I am pretty bullish on the Rams this year. I think the Rams are going to be pretty good. Packers defense is still very, very good. Jordan Love is baseline good enough. I think if I had to pick, even though I love Jaden Daniels, I think I might take the Commanders to answer that question.
I agree. The Bucks feel like are a solid wild card team, and in that division that helps them. The Rams are dependent on Matt Stafford and his health, right? Like last year, he was good, he was healthy, they win games, right? The Rams always have that period in the season where you're like, oh, the Rams are cooked. They're not making the playoffs, and then they rally. But yeah, with the Commanders, remember, they won some close games last year, and they went on a Hail Mary one of the games. So yeah, that second year where the league adjusts to what a team does well, tougher schedule. Other 9.5 teams, the Bengals, that's interesting. Bengals are only 9.5, 9.5 wins. The Broncos, the Texans, and the Chargers. I'll take the Chargers over. I'll take the Texans over. Denver seems like a 9 or a 10 win team. That's a good number. I mean, I know their offensive line isn't good, and they're the Bengals. If they can't win 10 games with Joe Burrow and that wide receiving core and the talent they have on offense with Chase Brown as their running back, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, the offense is going to be great. There's no question about it. It's what does the defense do? How much does the Trey Hendrickson thing hang over their heads? How good is the division with how good is Pittsburgh? I think we all expect Cleveland to be pretty rough again. But like the Ravens are legit. How good is Pittsburgh? Type of thing. I will say, I think my not like I'm sitting here playing $1 million or anything like that. If I were to put a big bet on a team to go or hit their over, I love Denver this year. I think that defense might have a chance to be the number 1 defense in the league this season coming up. And if Bo Nix plays as well as he did last year, which was surprising to me, but he was very, very good, I think that team has a legitimate chance of winning the AFC West. If I'm taking a team to go over the 9.5, I think I'm smashing Denver.
All right, 8.5. The Cardinals, Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Patriots, Steelers, and Seahawks. In particular, the Steelers. I was talking about it earlier with my friend. He said, they're going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm like, dude, if you think they're going to win the Super Bowl, then you should take every cent that you, your wife, and your son, every cent, and bet it on the over because it's 8.5.
Sure.
At some point, they have to fall off and be under 500. I guess. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, like, listen, he's 41 years old. Anybody that's thinking, and what his point was, yeah, but Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old. This isn't Tom Brady at 41 years old.
Sure.
Aaron Rodgers hasn't done this. He can't move around anymore. He's still got an amazing arm, but still, I mean, I think best case Steelers win 9 games, maybe 10 games. But if I was playing it, I'd probably take the under.
Feel a little dream teamy to you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they went all in with all these moves. They just traded for Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, Metcalf. Yeah, no, like it's like this is like last ditch effort. Aaron Rodgers. We can do it in a 1-year window. Doesn't generally work like that.
Listen, if you just nominally looked at the talent, certainly could be a playoff team. I also think there is a greater than 0 chance that this thing goes up in flames.
Yeah. And
they're a 5-win team. Like I texted with a Steelers buddy the other day, and he was saying, likes the move for Ramsey, doesn't necessarily hate moving Minka because of their. I guess there was some worry about him like selling out for personal stats and things like that, as opposed to playing a little bit more team structured. But I don't know. There's something about this Steelers team I'm getting very, very 2014 Eagles dream team feel to it.
Two more teams here. Everybody's again. Oh, the Bears. Ben Johnson's the coach. I'll take the under on the Bears and the Vikings. Well, they let Sam Darnold walk. JJ McCarthy. Vikings are an interesting team because they never seem to get enough respect as far as how many games they end up winning.
Sure.
So I'd probably still take the over on the Vikings.
I will say that the other team that I'm looking at, and probably because I'm not as high on some of the other teams in their division, I can't believe I'm going to give Jonathan Gannon credit. I think Arizona could be a playoff team this year in the NFC West. I think if Kyler plays a full season, I still maybe I'm just getting Kyler Murray truthered at this point, where I'm going to be the last Kyler Murray stan on the planet. But I think that defense is going to be good. They add Josh Sweat. I think he'll have a nice impact with them. They bring Baron Browning back. I think that I think they added Walter Nolan in the draft. Their front four, front seven should be pretty good. It's a matter, I think with them, it's a matter more of how good is San Francisco actually, how good is Seattle actually. But if those two teams are not as good as some expect, I think there's a chance that Arizona could sneak in as a wild card team.
The Cowboys are a listed 7.5 win over under. We talked about this before. Normally, they inflate the Cowboys because everybody wants to bet the Cowboys, and they're the Cowboys, right? 7.5 wins over under. I mean, Jesus, this is screaming to take the under. I mean, I know Brian Schottenheimer or whatever. I don't think the Cowboys are a 7-win team. Do you?
No, I think this feels really low. Is this a Vegas overcorrection? Maybe. Listen, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be a threat to win the division. I think you are going to get a first back-to-back division winner in the NFC East in 20 years or whatever it's been. I think the Eagles are primed to win the division again. I don't think Dallas is going to be a 6-win pushover, 6-7-win team. I think they can win 8 or 9 games and be a competitive team, assuming Dak is healthy. But this just feels really, really low to me.
Yeah. Giants are 5.5. And they have Russell Wilson. Who's the other veteran quarterback that they?
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, Jameis Winston. And then they draft Jackson Dart. Jeez, I
mean, the Giants are going to lose a lot of games 20-17 because I think the front four is really, really good. Brian Burns.
Their defense is good.
And they just drafted Abdul Carter. That front four is going to get some serious pressure. They're going to lose games 20-17.
Very odd. Oh, so the Arch Manning, if he does end up coming out, for whoever they're going to be competing for the number 1 pick, at least the listed win total 4.5. The Browns and the Saints.
The Saints are going to suck.
I'm going to take the Saints with the lowest win total in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with that. I think the Saints are going to be miserably bad. I don't believe in Tyler Shuck. They're trying their absolute darndest to get out of their cap hell that they've been in for a decade. And I think the only way to do that is to shed these big contracts and kind of not tank, because there's not necessarily tanking in the NFL, but kind of tank. I think that they're going to end up being very much in play for the number 1 overall pick next year.
Yeah, unless the Browns were able to get it and they can add another quarterback to their quarterback room with Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel as young quarterbacks in that. I mean, geez, Joe. See, here's the thing with the Browns. I think Joe Flacco is competitive enough where he'll win some games. And then once the season probably starts to get away from themselves, then you're going to start to see Dylan Gabriel. Kenny Pickett probably starts a game at some point. Shedeur Sanders might be most capable of any of the quarterbacks.
I was going to say, I'll be honest with you. I think you may see Shedeur Sanders get a handful of starts by the end of the season.
I agree. No, I think he's starting when you're in week 14.
Right.
I don't believe Dylan Gabriel's an NFL quarterback.
I don't either. Too small.
No, way too small. So there you go. All right. Give me a surprise team for this season that you're thinking about.
I think of the teams that we haven't mentioned, I think a surprise team, at least in terms of hitting their over-under, I think may be the Vegas Raiders. Now, that's going to be one of the best divisions in football, so it's going to be hard to get to 7 wins. But I don't think you bring in Geno and bring in Pete Carroll to be a tanking team. Now they drafted Ashton Genty. He's going to be a star. I don't think there's any question there. Their skill position players lacks other than Brock Bowers, no doubt. But I think with Vegas, that number's at 6.5, and it feels a little bit low just because you have a veteran quarterback, a veteran coach. They've been together before.
Yes.
I think that team, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're making the playoffs, but could they go 7-10? I certainly think they could.
Yeah, and here's mine. The Dolphins and the Patriots are both 8.5 wins. I think the Dolphins flat out stink. And it's under. I think the Patriots can win 9 games. Why the hell are the Patriots at 8.5 wins? That's way too much over what they were last year.
Sure.
It's the second year of Derek May, and it's Mike Vrabel coming in and kicking their ass. And he's going to come in and motivate them. And they have some talent. They're like, I think running the football, I like May, and Vrabel I think has an impact. I think they can win 9 games. So one of my sneaky teams of over under, I would take the Patriots. That line is screaming to take the over because that'd be too easy to take the under 8.5.
Yeah, the other one that I feel like, and that this is actually the inverse. They're playing in a bad division. They're at 6.5. I think the Indianapolis Colts stink.
I do too.
They're at 6.5. I don't think they get to that number. There's a very real chance they're a 5-win team.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, so it's the Daniel Jones show in Indianapolis. Okay, yeah, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen anything from Anthony Richardson that tells me he's going to win 7 games for this team.
Absolutely not. All right, everybody, have a great 4th of July, and we will talk to you next time. Philly with John Marks. We are out.